What's up guys, I'm Vocal Strike and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Last time we defeated Team Ragnarok and finally managed to beat Haldor, and Odin. This time we are going to be taking on the first member of Team New World in the beginning of the end. But there are a few other things I kind of want to cover before we actually start. There are still a bit more stuff and duels that happens in the anime. Another subbed episode that happens in between the duel between Team Unicorn and Team Ragnarok is against the members of Team Tayo. They were basically a team of 3 that all came from the countryside. And unlike all the other teams who each have their own decks and duel runners, Team Tayo only had enough cards for 1 deck and only had 1 duel runner. So they actually had to share so they each had to share a deck and duel runner. Their duel runner was not really new, as they didn't have the money to get new duel runners, nor did they really had any way of making a duel runner from the ground up, since they live in a country, not in a junkyard like in the case with Yusei. They also didn't have a single rare card in their deck. So they had to use a bunch of common cards that literally everyone and their grandmother used. And they had to, and the strongest card they had, basically they just had a bunch of weak cards that honestly probably wouldn't win them any tournaments at all. But they did have 1 strong card. However, the conditions for its summoning was steep, borderline impossible. And that card is Zushin the Sleeping Giant, which is an Earth attribute, level 10, warrior type effect monster with 0 attack points and 0 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by attributing a monster you control with 10 Zushin counters. Once per turn, you can reveal this card in your hand and target 1 level 1 normal monster you control. Keep this card revealed until the end of this turn. Place 1 Zushin counter on it. Unaffected by other card effects. If this card battles a monster during damage calculation, attack and defense of this card become equal to the current attack of the monster it is battling plus 1000. During that damage calculation only. So, no matter what, it will always have 1,000 more attack points of any monster it's battling. And it has protection, as it cannot be affected by any card effects, period. It's basically given the anime Egyptian god card treatment, where, as well as the manga/anime versions of the Egyptian god cards and the manga versions of the Wicked god cards, where they have next to near perfect protection, and in the case of the Wicked Avatar, who always has 100 attack points, more than the strongest monster on the field, Zushin the Sleeping Giant will always have 1,000 more attack points than any monster it battles. So no matter what, it will always be the stronger of the 2, which does make it a bit of a pain to come out. That said, its summoning conditions is near impossible, as you need to tribute a monster with 10 Zushin counters, which the only way to get Zushin counters on a monster is by Zushin's own effect, or maybe by some other card that I don't know exists. And it has to be a level 1 normal monster. Level 1 monsters are some of the weakest monsters in the games in terms of attack and defense stats. And it says normal monster, which means no effects. which means you gotta protect it for at least 10 turns, since Zushin only puts Zushin counters on those monsters once per turn. So you'll need cards like that can redirect attacks, that can negate attacks, etc., etc., etc. If you can get it out, you basically have a near unstoppable monster. The problem is getting it out. Most duels, especially now, granted, my duels can last that long, has lasted that long, but in a tournament sense, most duels don't last 10 turns. Unless, both decks are really either being total jerks or they're equally skilled, or each opponent is equally skilled. Otherwise, I think I've only seen them go 10 turns at most, at least the tournaments I went to, but they were not the big ones. But the summoning condition for Zushin in the anime is actually a little bit different. In order to summon Zushin in the anime, you have to tribute, I think, any level 1 monster that has been face up on the field for 10 of your turns. So that means you have to protect that monster for either 19 or 20 turns total, depending on whether you went first or second. Now, Zushin, of course, is supposed to be as powerful as the anime version of the Egyptian gods, and that episode was the only time in the entire 5D's series, the entire show, rather, that the Egyptian god cards were ever even referenced. And everybody had the card. Literally everyone. But because its summoning condition was so steep, it was deemed impossible to summon. Once Team 5D's, basically Team Taio, played a more defensive strategy. They had a wall monster that can use to deflect monster attacks to others. They had ways of, protecting the monster that they were going to use for the summon, which was Key Mace, which is literally just a level 1 normal monster. No effects, and I think it has like 100 attack points or something like that. It's not really worth using in any deck. Team 5D's finally figures out what they're up to and tries to stop the summoning, which they fail. Zushin then manages to defeat both Crow and Jack. So it was up to Yusei to defeat Zushin the Sleeping Giant. And the thing is that the crowd was cheering for Team 5D since, they wanted the duel to be over because Team Taio wasn't attacking. They weren't doing any damage. They were playing defensively. It was basically a boring duel. But then everybody figured out, and even the announcer was announced to everyone that they are trying to summon Zushin, which was impossible. At that point, they started cheering on for Team Taio and started turning their backs on 5Ds because they wanted to see history being made. They want to see Zushin summoned. 5Ds doesn't want to see Zushin summoned, even though probably as Duelist they definitely want to see the impossible be done. But since they basically needed to win the tournament, they couldn't exactly let Zushin be summoned, which of course failed. However, Yusei does manage to beat Zushin, and Team Taio has to go home. But it was definitely one of the more friendly duels out of all of them. Team Ragnarok had a bit of pride when it came to them being summoned by the Aziers, over the Crimson Dragon since, chosen by God cards. So they basically saw themselves as being better, even though Team 5D's basically did defeat them. Team Unicorn, as skilled duelists as they are and as friendly as they are, because of this guy right here, the team was more cold and calculating. They didn't cheat, of course, but they basically did whatever strategy was most viable to win the tournament. To win, their competitions. And Team New World, well, they're the main baddies, so of course they're going to be trouble. The other team that they faced, which was before Team Tayo, but I believe after Team Unicorn, was a team known as... Oh, Jesus, I forgot what they're called. They're really forgettable, honestly. I forgot what they're called. Hold on. Let me look this up. And I'm back. They're known as Team Catastrophe. And they were not good guys. They were not good people. They were basically a bunch of criminals all marked by Sector Security way back in the day. And they basically did whatever it took to win. Even if that means cheating, ramming into the other duelists, and everything else. However, Team 5D's also defeats Team Catastrophe. So, honestly, most of the fans actually booed at Team Catastrophe because of their dirty tactics, but they did had a few fans that were as rotten as they were. Because they wanted to see more pain. They wanted to see things to be more brutal. Also to note, there were sponsors for the World Racing Grand Prix. Two of which are references to characters/companies of the Duel Monsters and GX eras. The Pegasus J. Crawford Memorial Foundation, which is a reference to Maximilian Pegasus, since I think Pegasus's Japanese name is Pegasus J. Crawford. I could be wrong. So it is at long by this point that Pegasus has passed away. However, it's not really explained how. We don't know if he got caught in an accident, if he was murdered, or if he was, or if it was old age or whatever. We don't know. And and the other one is Schroeder's Toys Japan Company Limited Cooperation. Schroeder, which is basically just a reference to the Schroeder Corporation, which was owned by Schroeder back in the Duel Monsters era, who constantly competed with the Kaiba Corporation. We actually do see them in the Grand Championships arc. Before, though, the World Racing Grand Prix, Primos basically sends a bunch of army of robots to attack people and, force them into turbo duels. And it wasn't just, the Populists and Team 5Ds that got involved. It was basically almost all the teams involved in the tournament. But the robots were also all defeated and pulled back. What else? Oh, right. Yusei had a letter or message sent to him by a woman from an old Western-style town telling him that Callan was in danger. Yusei, of course, goes check it out since Callan was an old friend of his. And the town wasn't exactly a great place. The town was owned by two gangs, essentially. And they would always have, like, you know, an old Western showdown style duel. Even the dual discs were essentially pistols, were like revolver pistols. And what determined who went first would be whoever, you know, drew their gun first. Basically, draws the pistol, puts in dual disc mode, puts on their arm, and draws their 5-card hand. Whoever does it first gets to go first. Whoever wins, that gang takes over the town. I want to say either for the day or the week. Whereas the loser is dragged off into the mines to work for the rest of their lives. Yusei, of course, was tricked into defeating Callan, thinking that this was going to save him, since Callan wanted to lose, to basically be punished. But he didn't want to just throw a game. He wanted it to be against someone who was strong. And Callan still uses his infirmities, but he doesn't have Earthbound Immortal Kapakapu anymore, since the Earthbound Immortals are gone. Yusei defeats Callan, only for them to realize that, oh, hey, I was tricked by this woman, who was actually working for one of the gangs that he was competing for, just to get to Callan, of course. So he basically decides to not only rescue Callan and everyone in the mines, but to take out both gangs with Callan's help. Callan, on the other hand, wanted to lose and go to that mine because he regrets what he did as a Dark Signer and wants to be punished accordingly. Yusei, of course, forgives him, but Yusei goes back to New Domino City, and while Callan stays in town to help kind of protect it and to make up for everything he's done. I think with that is everything. Everything else I'm basically going to be talking about during these duels. So, let's take on Lester in the beginning of the end. The final match of the World Racing Grand Prix was Team 5D's versus Team New World. The first round was Jack versus Lester. The final match was about to begin. All three members of Team New World uses Medlords, but each one has a different Medlord Emperor. However, we will only be able to duel 2 out of 3 of them. Lester is also not using a dual runner. He's using what's called a dual board. And speaking of which, I just remembered another thing that happened. The dual boards are essentially controllable skateboards that kids can use to take part in turbo duels. But there's only 3 characters that we see actually use a dual board: Lester, Leo, and Luna. Luna gets her dual board from Lester, since Lester did infiltrate their school, which was a duel academy, mind you. So Lester gets close to Luna and actually gives her a dual board, her very own dual board, and even teaches her how to use it. Leo, of course, gets a little bit jealous and, does the whole big brother act, because he said he didn't really trust Lester. He didn't really like him, like something was off about him. 6, 7, what do we have? Red Dragon Archfiend and Red Nova Dragon. Okay, yeah, that goes down to 1300. So, I'm going to want to do this if I want to get rid of his monster. So Leo goes to Yusei and the rest of Team 5D's, and they make their own duel board. At that point, they basically yeah, just in case I need to do that trick again. At that point, Leo basically catches up with Luna and Lester, who were, rolling around on their duel boards. And Lester basically reveals himself to be an enemy by using a Medlord Emperor. By this time, they already met up. They already know about Primo and the Medlord Emperor. So anyone who uses a Medlord Emperor is considered an enemy at this point. And to make sure that they have to duel, Luna lost control of her duel board since Lester was controlling it. And Leo, being the brother that he is, wants to save his sister, so they were kind of dragged into it. I don't remember the result of this duel, however. I don't remember if it was a DNF or if it was a loss for Lester or a loss for Leo and Luna. Because it was Leo and Luna versus Lester. But I honestly don't really remember the result. You can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard and target one face-up monster you control. If it attacks this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects that target a monster or monsters until the end of the damage step. I think I'll bring back Flare Resonator. But Lester's Medlord Emperor is Medlord Emperor Steel, which is a wind attribute level 1 machine type effect monster with 2200 attack points and 2200 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned by its own effect. When a face-up monster you control is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Other monsters you control cannot declare an attack. Once returned, you can target one synchro monster your opponent controls. Equip that target to this card. This card gains attack points equal to the combined attack points of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. You can send one monster you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard. This card can attack your opponent directly this turn. So basically, as you can guess, Medlord Emperors are supposed to counter synchro monsters. And there is a reason why they don't like synchro monsters. Hold on, I want to see what this field spell did. Medlord Fortress. Medlord Emperor monsters you control cannot be targeted by the effects of synchro monsters. When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Medlord Emperor monster from your deck or hand. And what did I just do? Star Changer. Target one face-up monster on the field and activate one of these effects. Increase the target's level by 1, or reduce its level by 1. No, there's no point. But now I'm kind of mentioning also what happened during the... Like, it was either during or before the World Racing Grand Prix. Another tuner? I don't need another tuner. This card cannot be used as a synchro material monster except for the synchro summon a level 7 or higher synchro monster. Let me destroy my bow. Each time this effect is applied, that synchro monster will enter attack a defense point at the end of the damage step. Now, something I should also mention about the Medlord Emperors. In the anime, the Medlord Emperors could only be summoned if you had 5 of each of its different parts. And the parts could be interchanged. I think they were called... No, they were not called Medlord armies. But in the parts were not called Medlord armies, actually. But in the official cards, they do not have this gimmick and are just all one card. I don't need a tuner. I need a non-tuner. Trigger one fatal monster on the field. It becomes level 4 until the end phase. You say, on top of being a duelist, he also works as a mechanic to, you know, make some money. Another star changer? I don't need these. I think Yusei was called to Duel Academy by the headmaster? But basically, Leo and Luna was gained some trouble from basically a Professor Crowler wannabe. Tribute Zone of a light monster. I actually need this. And 8. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Increase. No. Let's get rid of you. Wabaku. And they were actually threatening to expel Leo, Luna, and all their friends because, one, they haven't been winning any duels, because keep in mind it is a duel academy. And two, he blames that the cards they're using are too weak to win anything. Ooh, I can bring out Red Nova Dragon. Ah, no other Flare Resonator. Let's see, is there anything that can... No, it doesn't look like it. And you know, he's calling like, hey, these cards are weak. You shouldn't even be using them. And of course, since Yusei's the one that heard this, negate attack. Uh-oh. Ah, I lost. Yusei overhears this, which he's not okay with. So, he decides... Okay, so he basically said, okay, now I know why I'm really here. So he basically goes ahead and duels the professor. And if the teacher loses, Leo, Luna, and all his friends stay in the academy. But if Yusei loses, they all get expelled. And Yusei uses his own deck that he's always used, which is literally filled with monsters with good effects that allows him to synchro summon quickly, but they are also weak. But he also slipped in some cards that he got from Leo, Luna, and all their pals, and used those cards to beat him, showing that they're not as weak as he thought. And what did the professor use? Ancient Gear monsters, of course. As a matter of fact, he had 3 Ancient Gear golems that he all summoned. So Yusei had to stare down 3 Ancient Gear golems, and he still won. So let's go ahead and try this again. Attempt number 3. Not going on the attack? Probably not a strong card then. Okay, so lose 500 attack only, lose 500 attack only. So I'll attack the face down with my Resonator. Negate attack. I mean, at least it's not Mirror Force. I'll deal with negate attack, but Mirror Force? No thank you. Playful Possum. No, I'm not gonna special summon Red Nova just yet. Oh hey, you can stop it! He wants to keep bringing back the possum. Special summon you. Attack position. Normal summon you so I can bring out Flare Resonator. $5,300 attack points. Let's see, gains 500 attack for each tuner in my graveyard. So right now it has 5, 10, 15, a 1,500 attack point boost, plus 300 more attack points from Flare Resonator since I used it to use Flare Resonator to Synchro Summon Red Nova Dragon. So that's an 1,800 attack point boost. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna move Chain Resonator to defense mode. Wait a minute. Ooh la la, I think I won. Turn you to level 4. And do this. Use Red Dragon Archfiend Defect to destroy all of his defense monsters, so that face down was a Medlord Emperor army of Weissel. And goodbye. Jack was able to dispatch Lester. He now faced the next member of Team New World, Primo. Dawn of the Machines. I hope you're ready to be sent to the same place I sent Lester. You talk a pretty big game for such a tiny worm. I'm gonna silence you once and for all. Primo, like Lester, uses Medlords. However, Lester mainly used skills. Primo's Medlord Medlords are Weisels. So his Medlord Emperor is Medlord Emperor Weisel, which is a dark attribute level 1 machine type effect monster with 2500 attack points and 2500 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned by its own effect. When a face-up monster you control is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step. You can special summon this card from your hand. Other monsters you control cannot declare an attack. Once per turn, you can target one synchro monster your opponent controls. Equip that target to this card. This card gains attack points equal to the combined attack points of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell card, quick effect. You can negate the activation if you do destroy it. And I'm assuming we still have Red Dragon Archfiend, Red Nova Dragon. Yeah. So, Weisel cannot attack directly like Skeel can. But Weisel is able to negate the activation of spell cards. No. Use 100 tap for each Medlord monster on the field, except this one. Except this card. Once per turn, when another Medlord monster you control declares an attack on a defense position monster your opponent controls, you can activate this effect. During the battle, if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Oops. Oh no, during the main phase. Trust Guardian, Medlord Emperor Skeel, I don't need all these tuners, I need non-tuners. Hey. Cyber Dragon. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one. You son of a bitch. Point. 6. Let's at least try to do something here. Playful possum. I'd rather take 200 damage than 2200 damage. Reboot. Oh no. Ow. Okay. Attempt number 4. Listen to a dark resonator. Listen to the tricky. Set you. Summon you. And wait, because Red Dragon Arch needs effect. Barrier Resonator. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just as long as it's a level 5. I know what that card is. It's Flare Resonator. Okay, he wasn't able to stop it. Good. Nothing. Okay, finally. Jack defeated Primo as well, but Team New World would soon reveal their true power. And yeah. Victory or doom? Even though Jack defeated 2 members of Team New World, he was quickly dispatched by their 3rd member, Jacob. The fate of Team 5D's once again rested in Yusei's hands. Jacob revealed his true intentions and a glimpse of the future to Team 5D's. You have no concept of the powers that you were up against, do you? Well, allow me to show you. Where are we? Are we dreaming? This is no dream. This is the future. The future of the place that you call New Domino City. The whole world is destroyed. How is this our future? By way of chain reaction, you fool. A reaction that all starts with your precious synchro monsters. I will show you how synchros took over the world and destroyed the human race. As dueling evolved, the world evolved along with it. And with the great popularity of synchro monsters came great prosperity. The people of New Domino enjoyed synchro summoning so much that the activity generated enormous amounts of energy. But there was a steep price to pay. And guess who paid it? We did. The people created so much energy that the energy reactor could not handle such massive amounts of power. The energy reactor spun out of control, leading to another zero reverse catastrophe. This triggered other energy reactors to surge worldwide. The world as we knew it changed for the worse. You lie. I refuse to believe that zero reverse happened again, Jacob. You can refuse all you like, but it's the truth. I know because I was there, you'd say. I know because I am from the future. I saw it all happen firsthand. So this really is our future? You paint a dreadful picture, and you pin all the blame on something I put my deepest faith in, synchro summoning. Then your faith is misplaced. Like any great power, it could cause great harm if misused. But if championed by the righteous, it can create good. Yes, that's what everyone said before the world crumbled. You're wrong. Our fate isn't set, and I'll prove it. It's clear you don't understand how destiny works. Not only is it still certain, your actions have helped usher it along. I'm now forced to take drastic measures. The three of us shall combine. At long last, this battle can be fought with all of our powers, and in one spiffy package. Who are you? I am Aporia. I will wipe New Domino City off the map. Are you out of your mind? Millions of people live here. Once I win this duel, the city will be destroyed, and my future reborn. I've seen what is in store for all of us, and I will not stand by and forsake the future. So ready yourself, Yusei, because it all ends now. Suddenly, a massive structure known as the Divine Temple appeared in the sky. It slowly began to descend toward New Domino City. If the Divine Temple crashed into the ground, it would destroy the entirety of New Domino City. The Divine Temple was always there in the sky, actually. But no one actually ever was able to see it until now, except for the signers and anyone that they touch. One that touches the signers. So for instance, Leo, for example, is not a signer. So he wouldn't have been able to see the temple until just now. But if he actually held like his sister's hand or put his hand on her shoulder or something, then he could see it. Aporia is Jacob, Primo, and Lester combined. They are robots. Robots that were sent from the future. Robotic versions of the real Aporia. I'm pretty... my memory is saying that, Aporia and his allies were basically all turned into robots. What did I lose? Shadow Impulse. When a synchro monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or by card effects into the graveyard, target one of those synchro monsters. Special summon from your extra deck one synchro monster with the same level and type as that monster, but with a different name. You can only activate one Shadow Impulse per turn. So what do we got? Stardust Dragon, Shooting Star Dragon, Red Nova Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Junk Warrior, Formula Synchron, and Black Winged Dragon. Now, the world did end, but it didn't just end with all the energy reactors blowing up at once. These machines called the Medlords were also automatically created and started hunting down any survivors, thus turning the world into basically like a Terminator-style utopia, but with much bigger and stronger machines. If you want to know what those machines look like, they are the Medlords that Aporia, Primo, Jacob, and Lester all use. And since we don't duel Jacob at all in this game, Jacob uses the Grenell Medlords. So his Medlord Emperor is Medlord Emperor Grenell, which is an Earth attribute level 1 machine type effect monster with 0 attack points and 0 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned by its own effect. When a face-up monster you control is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can target one synchro monster your opponent controls. Equip that target to this card. This card gains attack and defense points equal to half your life points and attack points and attack points equal to the combined attack points of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. You can target one of these equipped monsters. Special summon that target to your field in defense mode. So he can not only steal your synchro monsters, but he can also bring them back in defense position to beef up his defenses under his control. And the card's attack and defense points become what is half of your current life points. So like he has 8,000, if he summons Grano now, Grano would have 4,000 life points. Or not 4,000 life points, 4,000 attack and defense points. And then it gets another attack boost of the combined total attack power of all equipped synchro monsters it stole. Since I know that this card is one of those more confusing ones. But Aporia uses his own Medlord. And it is Medlord Astro Dragon Asterisk, which is a dark attribute level 10 machine type effect monster with 0 attack points and 0 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by controlling 3 or more Medlord monsters. When this card is special summoned, you can target any number of Medlord monsters you control, except this card. Send those targets to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's attack becomes the combined original attack of the Medlord sent to the graveyard by this effect. Each time a synchro monster or monsters is special summoned, inflict 1,000 damage to the summoning player. So he doesn't really. So Medlord Astro Dragon Asterisk does not steal synchro monsters. He actually punishes people who. It actually punishes the player who synchro summons synchro monsters. And the power boost it gets from sending away as many Medlords as possible, many Medlords as you want, is permanent. It is not till the end of the turns. And as far as to my knowledge, he can stack that. So yeah, it's a little bit dangerous. And there goes Scrap Iron Scarecrow. There's Medlord Emperor Granel. Goodbye, Grano. Oh, hello, Grano. killed by a little hedgehog. Nothing. Where are you? Mystic Piper. You contribute this card to draw and reveal one card. If that card is a level 1 monster card, draw one more card. Okay, so card advantage. I'll take that. Synchro Blast Wave. Let's do another 800 damage. Oh, I forgot that you exist. Medlord Astro Mechanical. It is a level 12 light attribute machine type effect monster with 4,000 attack points and 4,000 defense points. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by sending 3 Medlord monsters from your hand to the graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can target one synchro monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card. This card gains attack points equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can send one of these equipped monsters you control to the graveyard. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack points. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. No point, this is gonna hurt. Glow up bulb. Set. Synchron Explorer. Bring back Junk Synchron. And then let's bring back Global Hedgehog. I'll put you in defense mode. And Glow Up Bulb. Let's also put you in defense mode. This won't make it as strong as Mechanical, but I don't need it to be that strong. Or... well, no, I have 3,200 attack points there. Let's do a Synchro Blast Wave and get rid of Mechanical. Oh, I actually could have won, but I didn't want to take any chances. Nothing. What do we have again? You know what? Yeah, let's have, let's go ahead and have Stardust finish this. And let's go ahead and set Sonic Chick just in case things don't go as planned. Okay. I failed. New Domino City and its people are safe. You did it! Not me. All of us. That's right. We did this together. Yeah, Jack is still a bit of a, snobby jerk, but he is actually trying to make up for what he did by stealing Yusei's dragon and runner. Which I don't think I mentioned this in the last episode, but Jack did duel a dark version of himself that had 3 copies of Red Dragon Archfiend. But with that, in the next episode, we will be finishing off the 5D's story, and starting duel will be in Fight for the Future. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.